You lost a relationship before, not because you did something terrible, not because you were a bad person, but because of what you thought, what you filled in your head without even asking. And if you're being honest with yourself right now, you've done it to someone else too. That's what we are talking about today. Misunderstanding. And I'm telling you this is a very slow killer nobody talks about. Welcome back to Coleman Studio Podcast. I'm Coleman, and today I want to get into something I have personally experienced, something I have watched destroy friendships that didn't need to be destroyed. Misunderstanding, not betrayal, not cheating, not some big dramatic fallout, just misunderstanding. And the reason I call it a slow killer is because it doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in. Wrong tone here, a message read wrong there, and a silence that goes on a little bit long. And before you even realize it, something that was once solid has a crack in it. I've had misunderstandings with my own friends, and what I've done over the years is I've trained myself to really sit down with every argument, every tension, and analyze it, not just from my own side, but from the other person's side too. And every single moment, I've noticed one thing. Most of it came down to a gap between what was meant and what was understood. Now let's get into it. Here's what most people do when there is something missing in a conversation. A missing explanation, a missing tone, a missing response. They feel it in themselves, in their head. And the problem is, they almost always fill it in with the worst possible version of the story. They don't ask, they just assume. They took too long to reply, that means they don't care. They said that with that tone, that means they are rude. They went quiet on me, that means they must be upset with me. And now you're carrying a whole story in your head that may have absolutely nothing to do with what actually happened. That's what I mean by filling in the gaps. And it destroys a lot of relationships silently, because most of the time, neither the person even realizes it's happening. And it's not always big arguments either. Sometimes it's everyday stuff. You send a message, calm, normal, nothing wrong with it. But the person on the other side reads it in a completely different tone. They read it like you are being cold, like you were being short with them, like you had an attitude. And now they are responding to a version of you that doesn't even exist. Resentment starts to build. They go quiet. They start giving you a different energy. And you're walking around confused, not even knowing what you did. This is the thing about text messages. There's no tone, no facial expression, no voice. So people bring their own. And sometimes the tone they bring has nothing to do with you. It has to do with how they were feeling that day, or what they were going through, or how their last conversation went. But without clarification, that misread just sits there and it grows. How I think about arguments now. I want to share something I have learned, and I actually share this with my friends too. Stop going into arguments trying to win. Like, seriously, the moment you walk into a disagreement with the goal of winning, you've already lost something, because now you're not listening, you're just waiting to make your point. What I've learned is to walk into an argument trying to understand, because nobody is going to concede to your point until they feel like you actually understand theirs. That's just human nature. We can't hear someone when we don't feel heard first. So sometimes you have to bring yourself down, not down in a weak way, but humble enough to say, let me actually hear what this person is trying to say. Let me see it from their own angle. Because once you do that, once you genuinely try to understand their perspective and then calmly explain yours, most arguments don't even need to escalate. Most of them were never really about what they seemed to be about in the first place. But here is where it gets dangerous. People go silent instead of asking a clarifying question. They just go cold, pull away, start treating you differently, and you are left trying to figure out what happened, what you said, what you did, and you have no idea. And the person who's upset, they are sitting there thinking you know what you did. They think it was obvious, but it wasn't obvious to you at all. This is how friendships end. Not with a big fight, not with a dramatic conversation, but with a slow draft caused by an unaddressed misunderstanding. And here's the hard truth. Both people are usually responsible. The one who pulled away without saying why, and the one who noticed the shift and didn't ask. So what should you do at this moment? Asking clarifying questions. That's it. That's the move. If someone sends you a message and you don't understand the tone it was sent with, ask, hey, can you send a voice note? I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. Simple, clean, no drama. If you feel like someone has been off with you, don't just pressure. Ask, hey, is everything okay between us? I feel like something shifted. And if you think you've been misunderstood, don't wait for them to come to you. Reach out, clarify, say, I want to make sure what I said came across right. This is what I meant. I didn't mean it as a disrespect. I meant it like this. I know there is a saying back home, you go explain, tire. Meaning at some point, you just get tired of explaining yourself. And I understand that feeling. I really do. But I'm telling you, it is always better to over-explain than to say nothing. Always. Because the alternative is losing a friendship, losing a relationship, losing someone over something that could have been cleared up in a simple, honest conversation. Here is something I want you to sit with. Most people, when they are reading a message, when they are watching someone else's behavior, they are looking for the bad thing. They are scanning for the wrong tone, the wrong word, something they could point to and say, see, I knew it. And that says less than the other person and more about where they are in their head. If you have been hurt before, your guard is up. And your guard starts reading untrue things as threatening. Starts seeing disrespect where there isn't any. Starts assuming bad intentions from people who don't have them. And then one day, someone who genuinely cares about you says something completely innocent and your guard fires. And now there is tension over absolutely nothing. That's why it's so important to check yourself before you react, before you pull away, before you build a whole case in your head. Ask yourself, do I actually know what they meant, or am I just assuming? Let me ask you something directly. How many relationships do you have right now that are sitting in a weird place and you've never actually addressed it? How many people have you pulled away from? Not because of something real, but because of something you assumed. And how many people have pulled away from you, possibly because of a misunderstanding that could have been cleared up with a simple conversation? You don't have to answer out loud, but be honest with yourself, because misunderstanding is inevitable. That part you can't control, but choosing to let it sit, that's on you. Choosing to assume instead of ask, that's on you. Choosing to protect your ego instead of protecting your relationship, that's on you. I'm not saying every relationship is worth fighting for. If someone is genuinely disrespectful, yes, distance yourself. That makes sense. But if it came down to a calm place, if it came from a good intention, if there's even a chance it was just a misread, it is worth one honest conversation before you walk away. Misunderstanding isn't going away. It's part of human. We all think we communicate clearly. We all assume the other person understands exactly what we meant. And then we fill in the gaps and fill them wrong. What I want you to take from today is simple. Pay attention to tone, to tension, to silence. Ask questions before you build stories. Clarify before you pull away. And give people a chance to explain before you make up your mind. Because a lot of friendships we've lost didn't have to be lost. A lot of resentment we are carrying didn't have to be carried. And the only thing standing between where those relationships are now and where they could be was one honest conversation. Don't let pride steal something that could still be saved. That is it from me. This is Coleman Studio Podcast. I hope this one hit different, and I hope it moves you to have a conversation you have been putting off. See you on the next one. Thank you.